Here's to the crazy ones, the misfits, the rebels, the troublemakers, the round pegs in the square holes, the ones who see things differently. They're not fond of rules, and they have no respect for the status quo. You can quote them, disagree with them, glorify or vilify them. About the only thing you can't do is ignore them, because they change things. They push the human race forward. While some may see them as the crazy ones, we see genius. Because the people who are crazy enough to think they can change the world are the ones who do.
Welcome to the Reality OS. I'm Peter Duke, and Tracy Connors and I are joined today by the famous, infamous, you decide, Ali Alexander. How you guys doing today?
I'm doing well. Thanks for having me, Tracy. Thanks for having me, Peter. And I was thinking, I was like, infamous? So I think maybe I'll lean more towards the infamous side these days.
Well, I guess it all depends on what room you're in, right?
That's true.
Yeah.
You should embrace iconoclast. I like that too.
Your volume is a little low, Tracy.
All right, I will be fixing that. Is that any better, Peter?
Yeah, now it's mellifluous, yes.
Okay,
it's very
great.
good. Okay, great.
We'll stay with that for the rest of the time. Should we do some SMR with Ali? He should take that into your BitClout rooms on Clubhouse. We're here to talk about
there's a market for everything, and BitClout allows that.
Well, we're here today to kind of pick your brain about BitClout. You sent me a invitation about it, I guess, a few days ago, and I started to look at it. I didn't really know what it was, and then I've noticed in my running around that you've been doing a lot of Clubhouse talking about it, and Tracy's interested, and I'm interested. And what is BitClout? What are you doing with it?
BitClout is a little bit like if you smashed Robinhood and Twitter together. So it's a microblog on the blockchain, and it works, unlike a lot of other ones that have kind of been out there. And there's some that I like, and then there's some that haven't worked, but this one works. The thing that entices people about this is that you get to speculate on a marketplace that's open 24/7 on people's clout. So their reputation and their influence. And so there's a $sign next to everybody's name, and it makes people uncomfortable at first. And there are public figures listed there that have not signed onto the platform, and that was controversial. But just speaking as a professional who used to make all of his money in the digital space, and you two have done a lot of work there, Peter. You've done a lot of work there. But it's the best growth hack I've ever seen. It's perfectly legal. It's pissing off all the lawyers. And I'm at awe at the minds that put this together. The development team is synonymous. You have top tier VC capital funds that didn't invest in a investment vehicle. There's no corporation. They just pre-bought tokens that work on the platform. And it's just clever, ingenious, and I have never been so well behaved as I've been on Clubhouse talking about BitClout. And I do this right now about 12 to 15 hours a day. I'm on Clubhouse talking about BitClout, and I've been doing that for about 12 to 14 days. So every day, and we're just onboarding people. I have a huge following in Russia now, and Kazakhstan and Ukraine. We're working on China. It's very bizarre. It's just very bizarre, but it's very fun. And who knows if it'll work or not, but it's certainly worth my investment in time and a little bit of Bitcoin that I put into it.
So in 1997, I worked with Max Kaiser and Michael Burns when they formed and created the Hollywood Stock Exchange.
By the way, this came up in a Clubhouse room about a week ago.
The Hollywood Stock Exchange?
Yeah.
Because what we did is we floated movies as stocks and talent as bonds. And so there was a, you know, you can call it clout, but there was a Hollywood dollar valuation to each individual talent. Is that kind of like what BitClout is? Does the value of the person represent the amount of clout that they've got?
Well, you know, it depends. The value of the person, no. The value of the reputation, yes. And that's something I've been very, you know, as we're a community, there's no support team. There's no press releases. There's no nothing. There's a development team. So the community has really taken upon itself to create our own ethos and our own ethics. And so I'm very careful with my language, and I'm encouraging the advocates to be careful with their language, that it's not the value of a person. This isn't a Black Mirror episode. 100% of someone's income should not and will not come from BitClout in the foreseeable future. But it does seek to measure on platform and off platform reputation and influence, aka clout. So, but yes, there was one user who compared it to the Hollywood Exchange, and you've told me stories about that a couple of times, and I wasn't educated enough to speak on it, but that's what it does. Is the way I've described how this legally works is every profile is a listing, and it happens to be a profile, and the listing makes it totally legal. A company can't come in and say, I don't want to be on Yelp, I don't want to be on Google Review, I don't want to be on Wikipedia. Fair use, bitch. And so you know, it just is what it is. It's like I said, it's kind of uncomfortable at first, but it's also kind of very exciting. And you don't have to participate in the speculation of yourself, you know, but you can if you want.
Well, that's what we did on the Hollywood Stock Exchange. You know, we basically put every movie star who is in a movie, we listed them as a bond. I think that I don't know if it's recently, I haven't paid that much attention to the Hollywood Stock Exchange, which is hsx.com. By the way, one of the only projects that I ever worked on the internet that still exists almost in exactly the form that it was at when I was working on it. So it's pretty darn interesting. But what we did is, you know, we just listed everybody who was in a movie. So to your point, Brad Pitt didn't really have anything to do with it, but we showed what the relative value of Brad Pitt was to all of the other celebrities within that ecosphere. The thing is about the Hollywood dollar, and I see, which you know, Max Kaiser claims it was the first cryptocurrency. I tend to agree with him. Is that you could make money. So, for example, you could invest, you could buy low on Brad Pitt, and then when a movie hit big, you could sell high. And you could actually cash those Hollywood dollars out for something. I think that they had kind of, you know, a flea market kind of thing where you could use your tokens to get McDonald's gift certificates or something. But is there going to be a value associated with the BitClout tokens?
Yeah. So, you know, they have a white paper like most cryptocurrency projects. But what's going lost on the advocates and the haters, you know, some people want to call the haters skeptics, but they're not skeptics. Skeptics are the people on the platform, using the platform, kicking the tires, saying, I'll play with it till it breaks, or I'll play with it till it crosses this line, I'll play with it, etc. That's skepticism. Skepticism is not just haterade. But there's a mathematical formula called the bonding curve. It goes like this, depending on the orientation of the screen or whatever, but it goes like this. And so it means that the first dollar in is cheapest, and then at about 1,500 tokens issued, it becomes $1 billion before you can issue token 1,501. So this is what's interesting, because the market, the value of the price of the token listed on a person's profile page is not determined by a traditional market with buys and sells. It's determined by where you fall in the bonding curve. It goes up one way and it comes down one way. It's very exponential, and that could be psychologically hijacking us. We don't know yet, but right now the social agreement between people that we're going to agree to this arbitrary bonding curve it's working. People are agreeing to it, and there's more winners than losers. And some people say that's a Ponzi scheme, um, but not if you're getting people to stake in value. If there's trapped in value, you essentially create an asset class. Whatever the asset class is, it's that if everybody ran out the doors, the last people would never get out. There's no asset class where if everyone exited, everyone would get paid. That's what stocks are supposed to be. The value of the company, if the company totally folded its doors, cashed everyone out. That's a joke, okay? It's like Tesla wouldn't be able to pay you a couple bucks on every share. So there's a bonding curve according to your creator token is what it's called. So the Ali Alexander creator token is on a bonding curve. Right now it's valued at about $1,250. I'm very proud of it. And that's every whole coin. And then the BitClout token, the token that powers the whole platform, is also on a bonding curve, but a slightly different bonding curve, one with a lower yield, and it doubles per million minted. And this is interesting because, again, it's like, who knows if this math works out or not. What we do know is that Bitcoin's being trapped up. It's exchanged for BitClout, so there is inherent value, unless that Bitcoin goes missing or is used for development or all kinds of other things. And most crypto projects, by the way, take money, then use it for development and say that it's backed by the utility alone. This project so far is backed by the utility and the storage of the Bitcoin. So it has real world value. So you're asking, I'm sorry that's the long way of saying, I think your question was, or maybe I misinterpreted, was, is there a marketplace or whatever? No, not yet, because there can't be. It's a decentralized project. Everything else will be built on the layer 2. And what I can tell you is that there are already OTC, over-the-counter trades going on. So right now, if you want to cash out, you can get 66% of your money back on Discord. And the Discord channel is pretty liquid. And I know several people who have participated in it. Nobody's been burnt yet. The people acting as escrow agents are known users kind of on the platform. I'm not using it. And so it's just all interesting. It's you could only conduct this social experiment live, and most people think that there's too much legal liability to experiment with something like this live. So we're really in uncharted territory, and it's the most exciting thing I've seen on the internet yet, ever.
Well, I guess you can avoid legal problems if you don't have an actual corporation to attack.
Yeah, I think they've chosen that should not become a vector, and it's great by design because it also prioritizes. Well, it prioritizes your priorities. It prioritizes the allocation of your resources. That, okay, well, we're just going to fund developers, or we're just going to worry about the code. We don't need a PR team. We don't give a shit what the press says about us. We're not really sure that we care what the users think. They'll use the product or they won't. We'll adapt or respond or we won't. And in a lot of ways, a couple of the investors have really theorized that we could live in a future where there were no corporations, there were just tokens and code. And so we're kind of in, I like one guy in the platform said, this isn't a cypherpunk future. This is a cypherpunk, like with Ashton Kutcher's old show. And kind of, I mean, it really kind of is that. It's a bastardization of everything that should work, and somehow it's working. If I read this white paper in isolation, I would say that this is not a scam because it wouldn't even be successful enough to be a scam. So this is the beauty about being wrong about really good things. I was wrong about Donald Trump. I was wrong at one point about some other people. I was wrong initially about Andrew Breitbart. I was wrong many years about Kanye West. I was probably wrong about myself. And so, it's just a fascinating project. I was there at the beginning of Twitter. This is going places. This is not investment advice, but this is going places. And every day I struggle, and it's addictive. It is addictive. But Yeah.
So Dave Underdown is a financial quant, and he's asking a quant question, which is, what are the metrics that make up a bonding curve?
That's in the white paper. So if you want to read the mathematical formula between the two bonding curves, you find that at BitClout.com. When you're not signed in, click one pager, and it will open up a PDF that is 7 pages. And yeah, part of the expertise that I've been able to give to the community is reading people and intention, and so interpreting the developers. And it took a couple because these people don't know me from Adam. A couple of haters who hate the platform, when they discovered who I was, it became, oh, this is Ali's scam, and I was just like, no. But anyway, the crowd's been great, and most of my fans there and friends are progressive, actually, and actually most of my followers on Clubhouse are also progressive too. I have people like me, and the media hates me. They're the only people who hate me. But what I was going to say was, what I've been able to give to the Clubhouse audience and the BitClout audience is a lesson in economics, monetary theory, and then how to study and read people and their intentions. And I'd say something wild, then the next day the development team would come out and confirm it, and they're like, okay, how does Ali do this? And I'm able to teach it in a way that I really wasn't able to do on Periscope. So it's slower paced than politics, while the same amount of adrenaline is pumping through your veins. It's just so fascinating.
Yeah, it's interesting because I know that I've talked to you about this before, but Tracy and I talk about on the show how money creation really kind of is magic. It's getting a bunch of people to agree that this coin or that this token has value is kind of it is a construct of a social contract, right? And so what this is taking advantage of that kind of part of kind of the human psyche to assign value to something. What do you think the potential roadmaps are for this?
I think they're going to open source sometime within the next 2 to 4 weeks. The core problem seems to be syncing up the nodes. They're running full nodes. It's hard to imagine how that scales. But they're also having problems syncing it. So it's like they have a storage problem, they're going to have a processing problem, and they currently have a syncing problem. And
I remember the fail whale.
Yeah. Well, and that was funny too. Is like, there's been fewer fail whales in this than there were 2 years into Twitter's existence. So what's funny is I told the community, I was like, we're going to complain about what we see and forget what we're being given. And the fact that the site has gone down twice. One time before I was on it, it went down for a weekend. And then one time when I was on it, it went down for about 9 hours, 10 hours. And it was scheduled to go down the night before, and it didn't go down. And so I think the potential roadmap is to open source very quickly, and then you're going to see 100 apps pop up. There's, I've put money into this already in building out the ecosystem. We built, I funded, and another company built the first browser plugin for BitClout.
Come on and say it to his face, Carpe. We'll send you a link.
Yeah, might as well. There's some other. So anyway, a roundabout is no one has access to the nodes except for some of the VCs, it looks like, and the developers who they allegedly don't have an office and allegedly may not even know each other. But I don't know. I've heard two different.
This is how to keep the legal stuff clean, right?
Yeah, it really is. It's like, because the SEC has already come out and said Bitcoin is not a security because Satoshi was anonymous and all of this. So they're just like gaslighting the SEC. They're taking an Elon approach to it, like, come at me, bitch. And so yeah, the roadmap is to open source quickly, which, by the way, again, quickly would be any time before the next 2 years. But I think they'll open source within the next 2 months or a month. And if they can solve this problem. And these are gigantic problems, by the way. The DM feature is the core part of the product, and I don't think it should be a core part of the project. I think it should be on a per node basis. Verification. There's no way to decentralize verification at all. Okay. And I've talked to Jack Dorsey about this. And so it's really interesting because this development team is further along than some of us who've been theorizing this for 5 years. But there are a couple of core problems that seem to prevent it from being open source and decentralized. Even though it is technically decentralized behind a wall, it is decentralized, but it's not open source, and it's not governed by everyone. It's just governed by a community of developers that I believe got paid grants. I think that's probably the legal way they went around this, is they gave developers grants to work on this and not 1099s or W-2s or anything like that. So anyway, the layer 2, if we say that BitClout is the base layer, everything else that's going to be built on top of it, wallets, marketplaces, stores, Patreon, YouTube, Instagram, all that stuff, like we're all pulling from the same database. That to me is so fascinating, and it's going to take up a lot of my focus going forward. It's already taking up a lot of my focus. I sleep 4 hours a day, and I have to be awake in multiple time zones because, again, twice a day I'm with the Russians.
And I was in a room where you were like, "Oh, the Russians are here." I was like, "This is so hilarious."
It's so funny. I can't wait to see what media writes about it.
I know.
The Russians bought Army and the secret cryptocurrency Nazi scab-like platform.
We knew it.
Yeah.
We knew they had backdoor channel conversations with the Russians.
Yeah.
So when you sent me the invite, I didn't know what it was, and I clicked on it, and I think it's $60 to buy in or something like that. What am I getting when I pay $60, or what am I paying for?
And it is invite only now, right?
No, it's open now. I think for the past 36 hours or so,
Okay.
maybe 48 hours, it's been open to the public. So you can give your phone number. You don't have to pay. So if you give your phone number and you verify your phone number, it can't be a VoIP number. To anybody listening and already trying to game theory it out, they'll send you a code, and then I think depending on your area code, a bot will send you free money. You can use that free money to first invest in yourself, and then you can just play the whole system. And but if you use the starter package, you have to send 0.001 Bitcoin. So right now that's about $60. Don't forget network fees. 2 network fees, by the way. So you want to send right now. You probably want to send about $85, and then you cash that Bitcoin to BitClout, and then you can use BitClout as the currency for the utility. A lot like that is for the Brave browser. It is a utility token. I do not believe for a second that this is a security, and so that's what you do to unlock the ability to create a username on the account and update a profile. So it's interesting. The technical part is when you start an account, you spin up a wallet address, just like any blockchain. To sign the wallet address a username, you need to engage in the phone call part or the Bitcoin part, and then that tells the platform that you're a real person. This is good because it fights spam. And it doesn't fight bot activity. In fact, this is like the event horizon for bot activity. We're not there yet, but every day it's quintupling.
Well, it sounds like you're letting the Internet Research Agency walk right through the front door. You and Putin's chef.
Yeah.
Hey. Well, we have your accuser here, so let's just bring him in. So,
what's up, Ollie?
Oh.
Can you guys hear me all right?
We can hear you. Yeah. So.
Oh Jesus! Can we just take this to the ultimate level?
What, should we bring George in?
No, we'll invite him to a
doesn't
clubhouse
shoot me.
chat.
Oh yeah, we can add George. George, what?
Ollie, say that again.
I said as long as he doesn't shoot me.
Well, keep your Skittles hidden.
No, George wouldn't hurt a fly. Are you kidding?
Yeah. No, it was a good joke.
Okay, so where were we? Musad. That's where we were.
Musad, yes.
I just I don't actually have anything to say. I was just going to give you a hard time. But I was invited to give you a hard time, so I thought I should do it.
Well, are you on BitClout?
I think you sent me a text yesterday about it, right?
Yeah, I said I reserved your profile because here's the thing. It's, when you're in the, I call it the slipstream. You're in the zone, okay? So I'm trying to master the economics. I'm trying to be an ombudsman and check the technology by finding all these Easter eggs. I was the first person to hack the platform, by the way. And then I'm also trying to make sure that my friends from public figures get on the platform, but I don't have time to teach anybody this shit. And so,
right.
So I'm testing it out, and it's just like fail. Only, I have a mentorship group. I'm like, sign up now. They sign up, they get it. It's like, you have to try it and you'll get it. But it's just like when we all first signed up for MySpace. It's so familiar and so new. So anyway, Carpe is like one of 3 people I went ahead and reserved because the meme space there, which is kind of apolitical, but the meme space there developed very early. It was NFT artists, memers, some Hollywood celeb and business managers, and some VC guys. And that's kind of the makeup of it. It's not political yet. And I just told, I'm like, everybody, just wait, because Clubhouse didn't have a large right-wing presence until I got an invitation. And then I made everyone go ahead of me before I started hosting rooms. But
do you like Clubhouse? I haven't been on there.
I used to like Clubhouse, but I was getting tired of it. Everything's about wokeism on either side and cancel culture. It's like endless talks about canceling cancel culture. Endless talks about Dr. Seuss. And then I found this BitClout community, and it's a whole new world for me. And I have new friends, and they're better than my political friends. They're more ethical, responsible, giving, caring, loving. They get me to say weird liberal stuff like, thank you for holding this space. Thank you for creating space. Do you want to talk? Let's make room for the woman. It's just funny. Anyway, I like Clubhouse now. It's 14 hours of every day of mine, at least.
Is politics over, Ali?
If you're smart.
Great answer.
So, Ali, I've been. You're not on Instagram anymore, but I've been harassing the Q people for the last couple days, and they're all convinced that I've lost my mind.
They're convinced that you lost your mind.
Yeah, they're convinced I've lost my mind.
And when does Trump get inaugurated for the 4th time this year?
I think it's June 30th.
Oh! I have heard the June date.
Hey, Trump is still president, and Benedict is still Pope.
Is that true?
That answers the question. Is politics over? Ask the Q people. Ask the Q people. And I don't want to live in that reality, which is essentially a non-reality.
They don't get it either. Like you can't make them get it because I posted a thing just saying basically a conglomerate of all of the responses that I'd gotten, and it was all like yeah, it's a cult. It's the only cult that makes you think for yourself. But there was literally 500 people that said that exact same thing. Like, yeah, that doesn't sound cult-like at all. For the same, for you to say the exact same thing in the same language, it's just it's hilarious. I'm continuing to do it now just because it's funny to watch the comments and people just being like, people that don't know me at all, and they're like, You've abandoned Q. And I was like, I've never been with Q.
No, never.
You've abandoned Q.
How do I abandon?
So as long as we're talking about cults, I'll switch over to NFTs because I'm still on the fence about NFTs, non-fungible tokens. that guy sold his first 5,000 pieces for 60 something million dollars last week. I don't know. Beeple, yeah. And, Tracy makes fun of me because I think everything's a money laundry. And I look at that and I think, oh, that's a money laundry. But you had mentioned NFTs, and George brought it up here. Ali, and I saw somebody, I momentarily heard you talking to somebody on Clubhouse about what I think might have been an extension platform that was planning on using BitClout that had something to do with NFTs. How do they dovetail in any way? Is there, or am I misinterpreting what I heard?
To start a political movement, you have to be on what platform?
Kind of lost you there.
I'm sorry. I'm also in the middle of purchasing a token on BitClout. But if you were to be, if you were,
are you drinking a Coca-Cola at the same time?
Water.
A nice, cool Coca-Cola.
Yeah. So if you were to start a movement in politics, a grassroots movement in politics, you'd have to be on what platform?
Twitter.
Yeah, that's the same thing. If you're going to sell NFTs, why not go after a platform where you can amplify it, create media about it, buzz about it with people who you're 100% sure have crypto wallets? So, I mean, this is the distribution network for information. And the NFT, which is interesting because half the NFT people hate BitClout, and more than half the Bitcoin maximalists hate BitClout. I just don't understand it for the life of me. This is the social media of the crypto space. The rest of the social media is fake. Why are we even on it, actually? And then you start to wonder, like, what have I got from Twitter? Now me, I'm in the top 1% of Twitter, whereas I've made 6 figures from Twitter, okay? Because I've made it off the platform, not on the platform. And when you're smart, you use platforms for attention and you get your money elsewhere, because then you keep your integrity on the platform and you don't have to like chill and have diminishing returns or become some ominous bland brand. But like, so that's the same way. I just don't understand why people don't understand it. Like, why would the crypto space need YouTube and Twitter? Isn't that what we're trying to kill? So anyway, everybody will be here in 6 months. Everyone will have a BitClout in 6 months. Everyone. It will have faster growth than any of these social media sites, period. Maybe not TikTok because it's full of Chinese bots, but like everything else, it'll beat out.
So you're saying that the NFTs will be sold through BitClout. That's where you'll go
Or
to sell.
advertised.
Yeah.
Marketed.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
And now what about boomers? Are they going to be able to navigate the logging in and buying it and exchanging it? Have they made that pretty easy?
It's easier than any other crypto site. And
That's not saying a lot.
So it's easier than brain surgery.
No.
It's like you can use Brave without understanding that there's a BAT token, and you can earn BAT token without knowing actually how to retrieve it or anything. Just like letting push notifications come to your browser. So in a lot of ways, you want the community to educate the other community. I think the question is, can a boomer onboard? And the answer is yes. Can they interact with people? Yes. Will the community teach the community? That's absolutely what's happening. I've never seen a crypto project where people said, this is the first time I'm buying Bitcoin. And that's what's happening. People are literally signing up for Coinbase's accounts to go get BitClout accounts. And it's kind of weird, too, because it wouldn't exist if Clubhouse wasn't a major force for onboarding people. So...
Well, it's a lot of the same VCs, right?
I don't know who's invested in Clubhouse.
Andreessen Horowitz, I saw them listed as on both.
Yeah. And I'll say this, we should all look for benevolent dictators and competent oligarchs. And if
you sound like Curtis Yarvin.
Yeah.
No.
And he and I have discussed this before once. And I want Mark Andreessen and Naval and Balaji. If I have to choose someone to govern a uncensorable messaging platform that connects all of humanity and maybe satellite human civilizations and people on Mars, it would be them. And they've been burnt enough from simply following people or interacting with people who they don't agree with. They're all three very socially liberal. They're all three willing to do all kinds of investment into bullshit programs for social good. They're just not fucking crazy. And that's not enough for the progressives. So these are the guys I want, and they're all three invested, you know. So
I do like the classic lineup of Mark Andreessen coming back as Bill Gates' nemesis. You know, I like the whole theatrical component of that.
yeah,
Ollie, are you telling me that that the future of social media is not half working apps and platforms that nobody's on? Is that what you're telling me?
Yeah, I'm telling you, we're all going to write to the same database and then go to the site that we prefer, and we will opt in and out of filters. Curse words, pornography, partisan bias, religious bias, blasphemy, heresy, color schemes. We'll choose it all ourselves. And all of it will, because of decentralization, it will meet the technical aspect of being decentralized, but socially, so long as there's a group of people who can keep up a node, the Amish could have their own node. They won't, but you know what I'm saying? So it's like
They can have the Mennonites run it for them.
that was good.
They can have gas powered generators. I live 25 minutes from Lancaster. I know what's going on here.
Yeah. So I'm very excited about it. It's like, imagine if Parler and Twitter were writing to the same database and could retrieve it. People would stop bitching, you know? And so the future of social media just got a lifeline.
Now, is there any way to get thrown off of the platform?
No. It's all writing to the blockchain. Is there a way to get hidden from the node? Yes. Have they hid anybody from the node? No. They have hid people from the global feed tab. Pornography and softcore stuff has disappeared from the global feed. And I totally support curation. And if people want to call that censorship, then I love it. You know?
When you say pornography has disappeared, is that because they're not posting it or because it's getting eliminated?
It's getting hidden. Nothing
Okay.
can be eliminated. Nothing. They're not.
And who's hiding it?
The people running the node, the dev team,
Okay.
the core dev team. So right now, we know of at least 10 nodes. The dev team basically controls them, even though they don't own them all. At least 2 VCs own 2 separate instances, it looks like. Or the miner's reward is going to them. That's what I can say.
So if I wanted to spin up a node, how would I do that?
You wait till they open source the project.
Okay. So how did the 10 nodes that got created get created?
It's all in the Genesis block and whoever they gave it to. And so BitClout.com is how you access the site. What I was able to do was find out where the other nodes were using live versions. So they have bitclout.navy, .blue, .green, megamoons.com, and then one other site that I can't mention. And what would happen if one node would have an error, they move that node and you didn't know you were leaving bitclout.com and you were on another node, but they've been running. So they've proven that it can be decentralized. But like I said, the nodes eventually are falling out of sync. And they don't seem to have fixed that. They thought they fixed it yesterday. I observed that they didn't. I reported that to the community. We do know that the developers are secretly coming in our clubhouse rooms too. So it's just a fascinating game of cat and mouse, but we'll all be able to spin up nodes. I don't know that it'll be profitable. I don't know that the mining reward will be profitable unless you're also building a service on top of it. But no one can be censored. And here's what's important. Right now, it looks like there's no controls for blocking people from writing to the blockchain. So I can write pornography to the blockchain. It's, does anybody retrieve it? And that's cool because that balances law and jurisdiction and makes the technology uncensorable. So
Doesn't it become a spam resource issue though? if people are just kind of filling your servers up with garbage and taking MIPS from you?
Yeah, I think there will be some of that. There's still attacks enough that it'll be less than Twitter. So the question is, can the market handle and absorb it? And I think the answer right now is yes. The gas tax per transaction mean that you can, on $1 or 1 penny, you can do 30,000 likes. So basically they say have 1 penny in your account and you can run your account forever. But everybody who spins up a node, no one's ever going to pull the full feed. No one. No website's going to say, I want to fetch the entire database in real time. So there's a lot of money to be made in collecting the data, sorting the data. There's a lot more money to be made in filtering. Like, I want to be the first one that starts a firm for PG-13 and G rating and all of that, so that these companies can comply with the law. Like in Germany, you can't deny the Holocaust. You can't contextualize the Holocaust, some would say. I'm not saying the two are the same thing. I'm just saying you can't be critical of a crime that was committed, by the German people. And but here you can. And so a node's running in Germany and serving to Germany probably should comply with the law, but then there'll be nodes that are completely free that are addressed only by IP addresses. You can go see whatever the hell you want, just like the internet, just like Walmart, just like the highway, just like the public square should be.
And so, Ollie, when you say your creator token is worth 1,200 now, how did you drive that up? And what's the baseline when you start?
The baseline is $0.00. So like your first token, you basically get for either a penny or $1, and it just doubles along that bonding curve. And so it becomes more difficult. And what you do is you can set what's called your founder reward percentage. Anytime someone buys you, you get a kickback of what they buy. Now, it has to always be an all-time high, which is really interesting because essentially this becomes some sort of debt vehicle in your labor, and it's a bond, and you can liquidate it. So it's weird. It's providing liquidity for you if you need it against yourself, but then you inherently, if you liquidate, put yourself below your all-time high. So then you need to work to get back to your all-time high to mine. It's social mining. So it absolutely incentivizes good content, and I've watched it, and it's crazy. It's genius, and it should not work, but it does.
So people are buying or paying your content because they like it.
Yeah, for me, they like that I'm doing community good. And, I've always kind of had this model in whatever I'm doing, like Ali, the influencer to influencers. And it's like, what does Ali do? How does he get paid? And blah, 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 blah. And, I get my market value, and then I get how to monetize that without whatever. Some other artists, for example, I told people, if I never get my money back, or if there's no off-ramp, which, by the way, there's 3 exchanges that bought into this. Coinbase, VC, Huobi is one of them, and then the Winklevoss is Gemini. So it's coming on the exchanges. But even if it never did, the money I put on the platform, I could totally spend on the platform, or I could go to the OTC and cash out. And so, I love art. And I've met terrific artists on Clubhouse that will perform if I give them a shout out on BitClout. That is exchanging real world value, and the government doesn't get a piece of that, and they don't deserve a piece of that. And so I've been able to frequent the arts. I've been able to get people to advertise for me. I've been able to form relationships where we can do business together. It's just crazy. I mean, I get what the anarchists and the libertarians are looking for. It's kind of cool.
Welcome to the club. No, I think it's dangerous. I said to Peter months ago, the people that got Bitcoin rich are libertarians. They've been talking about this stuff since 2010. And then on top of that, a lot of the pot growers, because you can't put your money in the bank if you're growing pot. So they've all put their money into the Bitcoins. So those are the 2 subcultures that are now overnight millionaires, if not billionaires. And they've lived and operated outside of the system. Totally. So they're going to build a parallel system, and then it's which one do you want to live in?
Totally.
Don't forget 4chan Zoomers.
Yeah, well, there's a lot of crossover with the libertarians in that one. It's just that the autists, I should say. They're
Right,
weaponized and they have enough money to mount a small mercenary army. So that's who will protect Ancapistan, guys.
And Capistan. Yeah, jumping back to NFTs for a second, like one of the thing, I mean, I'm still trying to wrap my head around. I understand if I'm playing World of Warcraft and I've built a character, because there was that old market, right, that was started by Brock Pierce and Steve Bannon, right, where people would build up value within an infrastructure like a game like World of Warcraft, and then they could sell a character, right? They could sell something that they built.
A sword, a shield, a helmet.
Yeah, and so in that context, like I understand the value of an NFT because in that environment, there's actual real value associated with something. It's an indication that some labor was executed, right? But I still am wrapping my arms around the idea that somebody could take a piece of the first 5,000 works of Beeple, whatever whatever it is.
Okay, Boomer.
And that's worth Boomer, and that's worth $60 million. Like
Just how close are we to living in a VR world where we're all walking around with those glasses? Say I own Beep Bop, whatever his name is. You walk into my house with your glasses on, that's all over my walls.
13 years or 17 years, one of those numbers.
Yeah, I'd say probably like at least a decade or two.
So you're
Google
talking about.
Glass
So we're talking about Neil
not
Stephenson's metaverse.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a metaverse. And
Okay, so we're buying David's Black Sun real estate.
Yeah.
Okay. All right.
I think
I'm
so.
not familiar, but now I understand why that username is on the platform.
David?
Yeah.
It's
Son?
the character in Snow Crash spelled his name DA5VID, but it was David.
Okay. Oh, I thought you said David's son, but you're saying David a Black Sun.
David, yeah, and the nightclub in the middle of the metaverse, Neil Stephens' metaverse, was called the Black Sun, which has all kinds of occult significance, right? And it's interesting because I photographed Palmer Luckey a couple of years ago, and Palmer Luckey, founder of Oculus, the conceit of Snow Crash is that everybody was goggled in, and then he kind of got booted out of that universe the same way that David in Snow Crash got booted out of that universe. And then in the next book that Neil Stephenson wrote, which was Diamond Age, the new Victoria was protected by something called the Dog Pod Grid, which was an autonomous robot screen that went around the territory that protected it from ne'er-do-wells. And it seems like Andrel, which is the next company that Palmer Luckey started, is building the Dog Pod Grid. So he's going from one Neil Stephenson book to the next. I'm afraid if he makes it to Fall or Seven Eves, because those are pretty drastic worlds. I don't know if I want to be in. Anyway, I've taken us off on a birdwalk, Tracy.
Well, maybe
I'm sorry.
the way I think about everything now, from politics to the state of the lack of leadership in the church to everything else, is that none of them are desirable, and all of them are inevitable. And so you just strap yourself in, operate. It's like Jesus said, be in the world but not of it. So it's just like riding a wave of poop. And, you're there with that little Doge dog just surfing on poop. And it's not convenient, but it can be funny, can be entertaining, it's very messy. Just surfing on poop.
I'm not sure I get the metaphor, but all right.
Do you want to surf on poop?
Well, you don't have a
The
choice.
alternative is drowning in it. So,
Right.
Right, exactly. Right, yeah, right, exactly. The alternative is drowning, right?
Get the Doge dog up on your board and let's go.
Yeah, and then you get lectured by people who are swimming in it. So it's just, you know,
They're
I mean,
choking
it's
on
like
it.
Kanye said, I don't take advice from people less successful than me. They're swimming in it, you know?
Well, we got this question yesterday, Ali, when we had the brief little. We thought you were coming on, and then you weren't, and so we went on and told everybody that we'd be back tomorrow. So Deborah had asked yesterday. She watched the HBO Q series, and there's some guy that's apparently in disguise speaking in that, and she wondered if that was you.
Well, it sounds like the guy's in disguise. So could
That's
you
what I
trust
think,
anything
too.
I said?
Correct. So there's your answer, Deborah. Seriously,
It was actually me. I look just like Ali when I get on camera.
Yes, no. See, I think Ali was saying Doge is eternal. It's riding the wave.
Right. Well, you know, we're all riding waves. You know, I've made this analogy before, but you know, if you look at life as waves, you know, you ride it for a while, and you know, you get a good ride, but eventually you get to the beach and you got to turn around, and you got to paddle out again, and you got to figure something else out. And I think that that all of us are kind of involved. It's paddle time, right? We're all paddling right now, trying to figure out what's going on. So
paddling through poop.
Yeah.
I'm trying to figure out a
that's
good
the name
spot.
of that's the name of Ali's next book, right?
I'm trying to find a good place to jump back in, but I'm a little concerned about the state of not of MAGA so much, but of just of the politics in general. It was like I put up something earlier today that was basically the outline of it was Russian collusion and all of the things that Democrats did in 2016 is all the same shit that we're doing right now, only on the opposite side. It's the military should take over and we should round up all the Democrats and put them in jail. And like, I don't want to live in that world. I didn't want to live in the 2016 world either, the one that Democrats wanted to do. So
no, we stepped through the looking glass.
Yeah, I don't know what's going to happen here.
Well, the way I look at it is that I thought about this morning, that the world. I was talking to my neighbor because my neighbor is like, she's still like involved in this political theater, you know, the school play that's going on. The Democrats are doing this, the Republicans are doing that, and I was thinking the world really does kind of break down for me between people who watch television and people who don't watch television. Like, people who don't watch television seem to be a lot more aware of what's really going on than people who watch TV. And
they're out in the world more.
Well,
the world is a different place than the TV.
Right. But when you've got, you know, some guy with hair and makeup telling you what your reality is, and then you go outside and you realize, oh, it's not really like that at all. You have cognitive dissonance. There's all kinds of problems that you've got. So don't turn it on. You know, don't watch it.
Well, when you go to a bar and nobody in the bar knows anything about what's going on in the country, you realize just how little normal people, like quote unquote normal people, care about most of the stuff that a lot of these people are freaking out about all the time. That's not to say that the stuff's not important. It's just like it's completely lost on most of the population.
So this may sound counterintuitive, but doesn't that kind of match the argument that the elites have, that most of the people in the world are completely unaware of what's really going on, and so you shouldn't really have that much concern for them or about them because they're kind of sheep?
Does it match that? Maybe a little bit, but at the same time, I don't know that they know what's going on either. So I don't know. It's sort of the whole world is nothing but just people doing what's best for themselves. So
well, I agree there, but I'm not sure that they don't know what's going on. I would probably argue that they're arguing with each other, so that you see. I mean, we made a joke earlier about Mark Andreessen versus Bill Gates, but my guess is that, you know, they may not have the same agendas, and so they may not be putting their money, power, and influence into the same things, and that what wind up manifesting themselves. This morning, Ford Fisher was covering some protest. Well, now that Biden is back in office, pipeline protests are all the rage again, right?
Right.
And I look at that stuff and I see a bunch of true believers. There's probably a few operators who are community organizers who are getting paid, and they bring in. Yeah, a few of the Bob Creamer and Tracy. Tell Ali what you told me earlier.
There were a couple of comments on the video that we did yesterday because your name was in the title and it was trashing you. So I just responded to both of them. I said, "How much does somebody to pay you to go find anything that mentions Ali and post negative stuff on it? Who is it? Kimberlyn Creamer? Tell me."
Or Millie. It's one of the three.
That could be. I'll include her now.
Right.
Be like option C, Millie.
Well,
Does
see,
she
I
have
don't think
money
you need to pay
people?
people to go
Right.
and bash Ali.
I usually say this. My enemies are usually either pedophiles, fat people, or ugly people. I'm not excluding Millie from all of those categories. But she might actually
Smack.
be exempt.
She's not fat.
Why you got to be down on fat people all the time?
Just telling it like it is. Surfing on poop.
I have Carpe. I have lost 35 pounds since Ali started bagging on me about my weight. So
Congratulations.
Fat shaming works.
anyway,
It didn't work on Carpe. He didn't watch my Periscopes.
yeah.
Well,
I
my
watched your
thing-
Periscope.
But maybe
I haven't watched
Tracy.
them recently. I missed them.
Yeah.
But maybe Tracy could switch you over to the vape, Carpe.
Oh,
Well, now that you can't send
I
it
don't know.
through the mail,
Oh,
well, there's a vape shop nearby.
there you go.
I just don't feel like pretending to smoke.
It's not. It feels exactly the same. I promise you, my friend. I've been doing it since 2009.
wait. Tell everybody about your. Unless you don't want me to sidetrack about your workaround to the vape ban.
Oh yeah, you can't send nicotine through. Well, the post office hasn't made their final determination about whether or not they're going to allow people to send nicotine through the mail. But they scared the hell out of UPS and FedEx, so they've stopped doing it. So DHL is currently doing it, but otherwise you can't buy anything online. So it just all disappears. But I found the site that sells mix your own crap. So I'm getting me a big bucket of nicotine and then some mixers, and I'm opening up a lab in my kitchen.
Well, there you go.
Because that's safer.
The Pennsylvania dream.
I can see the headlines now. Podcaster's kitchen explodes.
There's no exploding. It's two liquids. You just pour them together. There's nothing on fire. I'm not even going to wear goggles.
Alrighty then.
But you know what? I do want to go back to Deborah's question, because as much as I like spinning up conspiracies about myself,
See?
I have not agreed to appear with any major media outlet. So I've not sat with any major media outlet. They've all contacted. HBO has a show coming out, a documentary coming out. The people who did Oprah's documentary Neverland have a documentary coming out. All the major big brands have one coming out, and they want, obviously the participation of certain people. And maybe I'll do something in the future, but right now I'm kind of sitting tight. I appeared with Carpe a couple weeks ago.
What are you talking about? No major media.
Yeah.
This is
Yeah.
huge.
Yeah.
It's a huge show.
Now, could
Like
you
a whole
leverage?
20 people.
I'm a legend in my own mind. Are you kidding?
You gotta
No, I'll-
be a legend on BitClout and get paid for it.
That's what I was going to say. Can you say, hey, throw me a little bit in my BitClout? Because I don't know that people know most of you don't get paid to be in a documentary. It's free self-promotion.
And I'm actually trying to change that. So like I told ITV and I told some Australian, I don't remember if ITV's in the UK or Australia. But anyway, I told ITV, and then whatever country it's not in, that's part of the Commonwealth, that I said, why would I make you ad revenue? And they're like, well, it's a news story and the public deserves to know the truth. I said, then tell them to go find my Telegram channel, and, just like read my Telegram out on TV. And of course they won't do that. So I just think I'm done. Like the next level of worse for me is assassination or jail time. It can't actually get worse for me now. So there is no case to be litigated with the public. You know, I have my supporters, and if allegedly I am this I word insurrectionist, then I should only be focused about my little paramilitary. So it just strikes me as odd, and I just think I fully left the paradigm. It was kind of weird. It's just like it was kind of weird, like the worst days of your life, and then you transcend. And now I'm on BitClout.
Well, it's a lot like Richard Spencer on CNN. You know, CNN talks about white supremacists and all this kind of stuff, and then they go interview Richard Spencer, and they're like, "Oh, and now Jake Tapper is going to take a break, and we're going to show you this thing where we talk to the guy that we've been demonizing for 3 years."
I wonder if Spencer's in AFTRA.
I don't know what that is.
It's the American Film, Television, and Radio Association. It's
Artists.
Probably.
Yeah.
But I mean, to your point, Ali, the news media routinely pays for videos and photographs. We all know that they paid that guy, what's his name?
Jaden X.
Yeah,
John
35 grand.
John Connors out of Utah.
Right.
Yeah,
So why not pay
they've been
you to
offering
show up?
huge sums of money for anything on Trump for the last 4 years.
Mhm.
You know that some of those people that appeared and talked about just various aspects of, you know, how I met Trump this one time and he was really mean to me, or like whatever. You know, they paid those people.
The
huge
Daily
sums.
Mail runs ads that say we pay for videos.
Right.
You know, so I mean, and you know, Chuck Johnson went through this 10 years ago or 8 years ago, where he was, when we were talking about creating WeSearcher and creating bounties for news, people were going, "How can you pay for news? It's not objective." And it's like, why do you believe news is objective? You know, it's like, come on, give me a break.
Yeah.
So, but to your point,
the horror of news that's not curated by journalists with the highest integrity.
But to your point about getting rewarded, so for example, like if you had, and I noticed that there was some kind of blockchain based media that Sony just made a big investment in a couple of weeks ago, and the idea of blockchain based media is interesting to me because as a photographer, you know, one of the things that I have to deal with is people who take my pictures and use them without my permission. For things that I'm not in alignment with. Fortunately, there's a website called Pixie, which basically is Uber for out-of-work lawyers who go after copyright infractions, and they go get money for me. But if you were in a documentary that wasn't necessarily flattering to you, but the documentary was generating revenue and there was a way for you to get rewarded for being in that documentary where they're not being flattering to you, a lot of people might do it or might not necessarily have a problem with it if you had some way of attaching the revenue of a particular piece of media to the participants in that media.
It's like getting points on the back end.
Yeah, exactly. So that's what's interesting to me about things like NFTs and BitClout and the directionality of things is that, you know, right now we're talking to each other and somehow YouTube is going to wind up making money off this, and we're not getting paid yet because I don't think we've gotten 1,000. Do we have 1,000 subscribers yet, Tracy?
Nope, we're about 300 short.
Okay, so everybody like and subscribe. So that when
we always forget to say it.
So that when we get
natural. That was so natural. Well done.
So that when we get kicked off, we can feel really bad about it, you know.
Basically.
So
that's all right. We'll be on BitClout in 6 months.
I appreciate you guys having me on here, so I can give Ollie a hard time and then just sit here and sort of not.
At least I wasn't eating this time.
Yeah, that's true.
Thank you.
But I have to go deal with some children. So
have fun.
Have fun. Thanks.
All right. See you later, Carpe.
See you guys later.
Bye.
Bye.
Yeah, I would appreciate that, Ollie, when you were fat shaming while eating fast food.
Yeah, Tracy does have a particular problem with your fast food scopes. So
it's weird. Maybe it'll catch up to me. You know, in my 60s or 70s. Maybe it won't. You know, we'll all find out. I'm sure.
Yes, I hope for your sake it doesn't.
Yeah, me too.
All right. Well, is there anything else that you wanted to chat about?
The whole world's fascinating if we only build and focus on what we want to focus on. And I think I have been opposed to that method or paradigm in the past, thinking we could fix some of the big things that are wrong. And I'm not saying that we can't. I'm just saying we got to wait for lightning to strike, and it ain't striking yet. And so why don't we just wait for lightning to strike and then hop back in? And so I think I find myself trying to balance my time with preparing to come back on the public stage and participate in political theater, because I do think that it's the ethical thing to do while there's so many people stuck in the system. You got to like re-enter the matrix, risk your personal safety to get people out, or to crash the matrix. And that's what I sought to do between November and January, was take a very impossible outcome and show people how long you could stretch out the impossible. And I love everything that I did. I endorse everything that I said. And I love what I'm doing now. And I think it's taken me, 35 years to figure out how to live in the moment, how to enjoy the moment, how to balance stewardship with people, with satisfying my own curiosity for whatever the hell I want to concentrate on now. And that's what I'm doing. And I've never felt more like an artist, more like a builder, more whatever. I don't think money's real. I don't think any of this is real. I have less attachment to things than ever before. And I'm having such a good time on Clubhouse and BitClout. These literally, I've been a part of a lot of political movements and religious movements where my ideology is placated to, and I get to be a leader, have a leadership role in it. I've never been around people. Stop the Seal was great, but I mean, these people have become like family to me. I mean, it's just so loving and nurturing, and it's bizarre, and it's bizarre because it's like being an adult in this world and thinking, well, you can't do that anymore. You're not like a child. But the truth is that there's a community out there waiting for you. And it doesn't have to be a community that just complains and bitches about things. It could be a community that builds things. It could be a little garden. It could be talking about folklore or romance novels. And we're meant to be here and live. And yes, fight the bad guys, but we're also meant to be here and live. And so I just want to encourage everybody who's watching to just live a little. You have my permission, you have your own permission, you have God's permission to just live a little and enjoy the poop wave.
I've got to say, I've been so impressed that you've bounced back and found a new venue to just excel in. And I kind of look at it and I'm like, you're part of building a new system. And you talk about having to, deal with the other matrix every once in a while. You're building a parallel one. So at some point you can start going back and pulling people out of the existing one and bringing them into the new one that's based on truth, right? That's the fundamentals of the blockchain.
Like Morpheus?
Yes, exactly. We'll get you a duster. You don't already have one.
He'll get Stephanie to make him one.
She made me a good one. You remember that one? That looked Peter looked very Assassin's Creed.
Oh yeah, that's right.
Oh,
yeah,
nice. Yeah, bring that back out.
Yeah.
But the system is going to collapse. It has to.
It is.
I just keep sitting and waiting. When's it going to happen? What's going to be the tipping point? But I'm glad that you're part of the team that's building a new place.
I do like the surfing on poop metaphor. Ollie and I talked about working on a book about politics starting, 3 or 4 years ago, and that's part of the reason that I've been shooting pictures for the whole time. So maybe that's the name of the new book, Ollie. Maybe. Surfing on poop.
We lost the cold Civil War.
Nah, it's just started.
Well, no, losing the cold Civil War was the conceit of the short-lived TV series and movie Firefly, right? That was the Nathan, whatever his name was the bitter losing side. I don't know if it was supposed to be the Confederacy or not, but Anyway, well, thanks for coming, man.
Yes,
Thanks for
thank
having
you,
me,
Ollie.
y'all.
This was terrific, and now I'll have to go figure out that BitClout thing. And people, somebody said earlier that they hadn't seen you before and they wanted to follow you now. And what you need to understand is that Ali is no longer on conventional social media. He's been banned along with the president of the United States off of everything. So if you want to follow him, where do people find you besides Clubhouse? Where BitClout?
Telegram. My channel is Ali Alexander, and then on Gab I'm Ali, and Parler I'm Ali. Parler is completely unusable. Gab is fun, but I don't really check in now that I'm on BitClout. I think I'm going to separate my political content from the rest of myself. I like this idea of having exosuits, but they're both under my name, so I'm not hiding anything. But there's so much to build out there. It's just so effing exciting, and a tokenized future. I shouldn't say a tokenized future. I don't want a tokenized future. A future with tokens means that communities can be smaller, and it means something. And I want things to mean something again. And so bitclout.com/Ali Alexander, telegram.com/Ali Alexander, or gab.com/Ali. And to be honest, I don't think I want to be anywhere else. So I like a tight message. I will be on the public again. Like I will be on, you'll see me on RSBN and Newsmax eventually and blah, blah, blah. I'll tour and do this. There's these places that, want me for different political events. Vernon Jones is going to be running statewide in Georgia. Mark Fincham is probably going to be running statewide in Arizona. I'm going to be doing some stuff with the Tea Party folks in Michigan. The fight's not over per se, in as much as we have to demonstrate that we have will and autonomy, or that we'll just fuck up their system. And so anyway, that's where I am, but I'm not anywhere else. And they've done that on purpose, and they've done it without cause, and they've never said why they banned me. None of these platforms have said why they banned me. And, whatever.
Alrighty then.
Somebody did ask Ali, are all your old scopes just gone since they took away your Periscope?
I believe that the ones from October through January are saved. And then some of the classics around the Kanye time are saved. They will be uploaded at alialexander.org sometime in the next 2 months or so. And old members to my founders program, if they remained paying during the Stop the Steal time, can just plug in their email on alialexander.org, and you'll have access to that without a password. So it sends you a magic link to your email and your email to sign in. Check your spam folder. So I plan to upload the old videos there. I'm letting a couple people go ahead. It's really weird. It's like we're dissidents, and we don't have the resources we need to dissident. So I'm letting some people go ahead of me, like Nick Fuentes has done great stuff on the live streaming front. So I'll just be able to take that code and then use it. So I'll return to live streaming eventually. I miss the community. I actually don't miss live streaming. I miss the community. But I'm kind of getting my scratch itched using Clubhouse and audio. I can be laying in bed listening to Russians and fall asleep to it and wake up and just blab something and go back to sleep. And
Yeah, that app needs a sleep timer.
It really does. My phone is like heating up next to me, and I'm like, uh-oh, this can't be good. So I'm sure I've shot my phone's battery, but literally 14 hours a day, every day for the past 14 days on Clubhouse, and I have no regrets. I got BitClout.
Alrighty. With that, we will say adieu. Adieu, Tracy.
Adieu, Peter.
Adieu, Ali.
And thank you, Ollie. And everybody remember to like, subscribe, share, all those wonderful things.
Yada, 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 yada.